All right, welcome to class. This is Statistics 201. You should have a copy of the syllabus in front of you. There are a couple of typos on here I will point out as we go, so get your red pen out. So my name is Dr. Merrill Lichty. My office is in G Hall 835. And let me just start off by saying I care a great deal about you guys. I'm very sympathetic to your plight, whatever it may be. And if you want to come and see me, you should do that. My office hours are Tuesdays from 2 to 3, so right after this class. If you're not available during those times, send me email and we can work out another time. My email address is here on the syllabus. You can see a copy of this syllabus if you go to the course homepage in Blackboard and then course documents. This syllabus has been updated, so it doesn't have the typos on it. The best way to get a hold of me is through email. If you have questions, if you have other things that you want to discuss, there is a discussions forum on Blackboard, both for administrative questions and answers and course material Q&A. So if you have questions about homework problems or that sort of thing, I think probably be better to use the forum, the discussion board. That way if other people have the same questions, they can also see the responses or add their own responses. But if you do send me email, please make sure that you include in the subject list, for the subject field, this is Stat 201, Section 131. Okay, I've got another Stat 201 course, Section 130. So if you ask me a question and say, I'm having problems with this, that, or the other, and I have to go and look it up in Blackboard or Connect, it's going to be helpful for me if you tell me which section you're in. So if you don't remember the section, then you can just put 12 o'clock class. The other class meets at 10 o'clock in the same room, so just prior to this one. If for some reason you decide that you can't come to the 12 o'clock class, you're welcome to come to the 10 o'clock class. I try and do pretty much the same thing, although they get the first run at it, so the 12 o'clock class is usually better. Let's see, so this course is an introductory statistics course. It happens to be taught in business school, so we call it business statistics course, but it doesn't really matter if you're doing business statistics, biostatistics, regular statistics. All the concepts and tools and everything's pretty much the same. So you should be able to talk to your friends in those other courses about what's going on. We're going to look at data analysis, and because it's a business statistics course, the examples that we're going to do are mostly going to be related to business. Other topics that we will cover include descriptive statistics and graphical presentations or graphical statistics. We'll look at probability. That will be chapter 5 in a couple weeks. And then we'll get into statistical inference. And then there's one particular type of inference that is very heavily used in your other classes. You're going to take finance, marketing, management, accounting, and so forth. And that is regression analysis. So you can expect to learn about regression analysis in here, at least simple regression, and that's kind of the tip of the iceberg when it comes to regression. Let's see. You're going to gain an introduction to statistics and learn the reasons why knowledge of statistics is important, especially in today's business world. But don't be limited by the fact that this is a business statistics course. The tools that you're going to learn and the thinking and all the stuff that you'll learn here will be also applicable in your everyday life. So keep that in mind. We will use some statistical software. I think someone came in who did get one of these. That's okay. And when I say statistical software, what I mean is not really statistical software. We're going to use Microsoft Excel, which is not a dedicated stat package, but it does have a lot of functionality that is useful. And if you don't know Excel, you should make an effort to learn it. I know there's some other places to learn it as well, but I'll go over some of the stuff here in class. Having said that, you will also need a calculator, and you should plan on learning everything that we're doing in class the old-fashioned way, which I guess is not really the old-fashioned way. The old-fashioned way is doing it with pencil and paper. When I say old-fashioned way, I mean using a calculator and being able to draw out things and write down the formulas and plug numbers into the formulas. And in addition to that, you're going to want to learn how to use Excel to do this stuff. Now, in class, when you ask me a question, I will do both. We'll draw out the picture. We'll say, here's the formula. This is how we're going to plug in the numbers. We'll plug them in. I don't have a calculator on my computer that I really want to use, so I'll probably, from that point, jump over to Excel and just calculate the numbers in Excel or use Excel as a calculator. But you're going to need to know how to do both ways. Okay? Question?
For the exams, are we going to be able to use Excel, or is it just all calculators?
So on the exam, that's a good question. On the exams, it's going to be, you can plan on, for now at least, no Excel. So homeworks and quizzes, you can use Excel, because those are open book, open note, take home, do those on your own. The exams will be in class, they'll be done on a computer, but unless some stars fall into alignment, there's not going to be Excel. I'm looking into that, but you really need to know how to do both anyway. So my recommendation is if you have a calculator, like a TI-80, whatever, learn how to use it like early on instead of the day before the exam or the week before the exam when you've got all sorts of other stuff. There's lots of different calculators out there. I don't know how to use them all, but come to my office hours and I'd be more than happy to help you figure it out. We can look stuff up on the web. We can say, here's the functions that we want to use. We can make comparisons. Unfortunately, there's too many different types of calculators to do that in class, but that is something that's very powerful, and you should take advantage of.
I know my graphic calculator has stats functions. Are we allowed to use those?
And that's what I'm talking about.
Okay,
figure out how to use those things. Yes, they make your life much, much easier. Okay? Because that's all Excel is doing, using those things. Let's see. So you're going to learn how to summarize, interpret data, both graphically and numerically. I mean, statistics is really just about collecting data, organizing data, summarizing data, and then making decisions based on the information that you have organized, summarized. But in order to do that, you have to know about random variables. So we will talk about discrete random variables and continuous random variables. Today we will talk a little bit about variables in general. We'll look at a few different examples. And then once we know about probability, we can do things like confidence intervals and hypothesis testing. And that's really the main thing that you're going to be taking away from this class is how to construct confidence intervals and how to do hypothesis testing. Now, you've probably heard about hypothesis testing. Certainly you've heard about hypotheses. You heard it when you were in elementary school and just talked about Darwin and his ideas. You know, a hypothesis is just an educated guess based on some theory or maybe some data, who knows. But we will learn about that. We'll learn about all of the language that you would use to describe a hypothesis and then make a decision. And then finally, we're going to learn about simple regression, which is really just a specific example of confidence intervals and hypothesis testing. And it turns out confidence intervals and hypothesis testing really are the same thing. They just have a little bit of different notation. So requirements for the course, freshmen are not allowed, although I don't think that's entirely true because there's always a freshman or two who show up. So if you're a freshman, don't feel like I'm picking on you. I'm not going to make you leave. You've been able to control the system and get in here. That's fine with me. Prerequisites are some sort of math. I don't know if calculus is one of those or not, but you should have some algebra. We'll do a little bit of algebra. The textbook is Applied Statistics and Business Economics by Duane and Seward, 5th edition. You can get that from the bookstore. You can get it other places, but regardless of where you get it, make sure that you have the online code for Connect, because we are going to use Connect heavily. The ISBN listed here is the one that the bookstore has that has that Connect, or has that code. If you don't get it from the bookstore, which I don't necessarily recommend because the bookstore is a ripoff, everybody knows it, make sure you get the code so you get access to Connect. And if you don't want a hard copy book, you can just get an ebook with the code. In fact, when you go to, I'll show you how to do that. I'll show you how to do it right now. In order to get access to the Connect page, just come over here to Assignments, click on Homework, click on any one of these homeworks, and the first time you do that, it will bring you to this page and say, you know, sign it. It doesn't look like this. This is what I see. But it will say, put your code in if you have a code, or buy online access right here, right now. Or I think you can get a 14-day or 17-day trial or something like that. So you want to do that as soon as you can. And other than that, we will use Drexel Learn and then the McGraw-Hill Connect system. Although the interface mainly will be Drexel Learn. When you click on the homework link here, it will. I don't even know if it takes you to Connect or if you just see the exam or the quiz in there. But it's all pretty seamless. So, all right. The structure and tools you have available to you. First of all, this is a hybrid class, so we only meet once a week. And I have a lot of videos, a lot of information. If you go to each of the weekly folders, week 1, for example, you will see videos here. I don't expect you to watch the week 1 folders before today, but next week when you come to class, you should have watched the week 2 folder, week 2 videos, and you can look at these double time. I mean, I talk pretty slow in these videos. If you're struggling, then watch them regular time. But if you kind of know what's going on and you're getting bored, speed it up. And then if you hit something that you have trouble with, slow it down, back up, that sort of thing. So that will be here. If for some reason you can't make it to class, then whatever the reason is, I don't really care. I mean, I think it's beneficial for you to be at class, and you're going to see some stuff in class that you don't see otherwise, because we're going to build on the videos and the textbook. But if you can't make it to class for some reason, no need to email me. Just come to the weekly folder and look at the bottom. And you don't see it here yet because it's not there, because I'm making the video as we speak. So I podcast the class, everything that is shows up on this computer, and the sounds in the class are being recorded. I'm not going to edit. I'm just going to dump it, and you can go and look at it. You can watch class in half the time if you want. If there's something in class that you understood, and then you get to do the homework, and you're like, wait a second, now I don't understand it. Go back to the video, watch it again. And it's not indexed or anything like that, so you kind of have to have an idea of what you're looking for. But I think that's a good resource, and use it if you want to. Okay, so watch the videos, read the book, and then use Learn Smart. If you can do all that before you come to class, which means you're going to be busy for next week working on stuff before Tuesday's class. What's Learn Smart? Learn Smart is a collection of homeworks. I'm not sure where the chapter 1 is, but I'll make sure that gets put up. In the past, I have done extra credit for Learn Smart. So, like up to 1% on your final grade, which is enough to put you from a B plus to an A minus maybe. It's not enough to take you from a B to an A or an F to a C, that sort of thing. But these are algorithmic. They're quasi customized, and it keeps track of what you've gotten right, what you've read, what you've viewed, that sort of thing. And by the time you finish one of these assignments, you should have a good idea of what's going on in the chapter. Okay, so I highly recommend that, although I don't require it. Question? Those are completely different from the homework and the quiz. Yep. I'll talk more about the homework and the quiz in a few minutes. So come over here, attend lectures. So after you've done these first 3 things, come to lecture. In lecture, we're going to review and discuss the most critical and difficult concepts. It's not going to necessarily be a rehash of the videos. In some cases, there will be some of that, but for the most part, I like to do fun and exciting things in class, collect data from you guys, analyze the data, and answer questions and look at some fun examples. We will also go through homework problems and answer questions that you guys have. So come to class with questions, and I'll answer them. I mean, I'll even do homework problems for you, that sort of thing. I won't do quiz problems for you, but I will show you how to do homework problems if you're struggling with stuff. And okay, so after you do that, then do the homework, and the homework will be due on Thursday nights, and you'll have a week or so to do that, at least a week. And then there will be quizzes and exams, and that's how you're going to prove your command of the subject matter. So here's the first typo. It says, with the exception of the midterm week, Monday class. So cross out that Monday. Class is not on Monday, class is on Tuesdays. And so cross that out right there. And then there's also another place that Monday is listed. Cross that out as well. Class is on Tuesdays. So you should come to class having seen the material, having prepared by watching the videos, reading the textbook, Learn Smart, and then we will reinforce and build on that stuff, and then also give you an open forum for asking questions on the material. So don't come to class expecting new material and or even lecture for that matter. I don't know if you call this a flipped class or not, but it's hybrid, so think of getting all of the lecture stuff prior to class. Yeah, there's one right here. You're welcome. There's one, yeah, down here. Front row. Come right on down here to the front row. And grab one of those syllabi as you're at it. Okay, so this week we're going to talk about kind of an introduction to statistics. Why is it important? What you're going to learn from the class. And next week we'll talk about describing data and descriptive statistics. So numeric and graphical descriptions of data. Following week is chapter 5, probability, and here's the third typo on the syllabus. For some reason I overlooked this, and Columbus Day is not on January 23rd. So we will be having class on January 23rd. It's a Tuesday, so cross out that no class due to Columbus Day part. And come to class. That would be actually one of the more entertaining and exciting classes of the term. So make sure you're at that one. And then we'll talk about discrete probability distributions, chapter 6, and all of that material will be on the midterm exam, chapter 7. We will cover it before the midterm, but it won't be on the midterm. It'll be pushed to the final. And then the midterm exams on February the 13th, and it will be in class. If you're not in here, it will be in the computer lab, either upstairs or over in G Hall. So you don't need to bring your own computer, but you will need to bring a calculator, and you will need to bring, I think I'll probably let you have a formula sheet of your own making, that sort of thing. And if you miss it, you miss it. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. If you know you're not going to be able to make it, then just plan on not being there. Do whatever else you need to do. Just go and do it and have a good time and learn, and whatever it is you're doing. I'm sure it's going to be worthwhile if you have to miss the exam. And chapter 8 will be week 7. That's about confidence intervals and sampling distribution for the mean. Chapter 9 is when we're going to start hypothesis testing in week 8. And we'll go into the next week with that one as well. And then simple regression will be part of week 9 and week 10. So the final exam will be week 11, whenever the university schedules that. And again, there's not going to be any leeway on that. If you can't make it when the university schedules it, then you should drop the class right now. If you're going on spring break, going to Florida, anybody going to Florida? Hawaii? Anywhere fun? No one's going anywhere? Okay, so don't worry about it. But if you are going to one of those places and you're looking at Expedia right now to get the best travel deal, you better wait until they announce when the exam is going to be before you buy your ticket, or buy it after finals week. Although I think it's interesting, education is one of the only things that people want less than what they pay for. When you think about it, what other things out there people want less than what they pay for? Maybe physical therapy. Education is one of those. So take advantage of it. You're paying for it. It's a great opportunity to make sure you get your money's worth. Plan on being here for the final, whatever that is. So all homework and quizzes are going to be done in Connect, and they're going to be due, the homeworks anyway, are going to be due on Thursday nights at midnight, 11:59, and quizzes are going to be due Friday at 11:59 in the week that they show up here. So homework number 1, for example, will be due not this Thursday, but the Thursday of next week at midnight. And it's a fairly easy homework assignment, but I suggest that you try it like sooner rather than later. You can do the homeworks as many times as you want, and whatever your highest grade is, that's one we're going to take. If you don't get it done before the deadline, do you think I care? No, I don't. I care a lot about you guys, but I don't care about that. Do I need to hear from you that you're not going to get it done? No. Do I want to hear from you that you're not going to get it done? No. If you want to come and talk to me about it, though, I'm more than happy to sit down and talk to you about it. But I'm not going to give you an extension. And to allow for that, I'm going to just take off 1% per day that it's late. So if you can't get it done by Thursday, no big deal. Finish it Friday, you get 99% of the points. Finish it Saturday, you can get up to 98%, so forth. Okay? And that's with any of the homeworks. I don't care when you do it. You can do them all the last week if you want. but there's, different penalties for being days late on each of those. So take that into account. Again, if you don't like the score that you got, just redo the homework. Okay? The homeworks are constructed in a way to help you get ready for the quizzes. The quizzes are due on Fridays at 11:59. Again, the week they're listed. So quiz 1 will be due next week, Friday, and I think it starts on Wednesday. So you have a 3-day window to do the quizzes. If you miss the quiz deadline, however, you miss it. And there's no makeups, no extensions, nothing like that. Okay? Now, I know that you've got a lot going on in your lives, and to allow for any sort of problems you might run into, internet connectivity, being out of town, forgetting, for whatever reason, I will drop 2 of your quizzes, as long as nobody emails me and asks for an extension. Everyone got that? 2 quizzes. Somebody emails me and asks me for an extension, I'm not dropping anything for anybody. Does that sound fair? No, that's totally not fair, and I won't do that. But don't ask me for extensions, because I will just write and say, sorry, I'm dropping your 2 lowest quizzes. I think that's fair. So if you look here, there are only 7 quizzes. And so the top 5 of those will be used to calculate your grade. And yeah, again, it doesn't concern me, even though I care a great deal about you guys and your health and your happiness and everything else. I don't care why you're missing the quiz. For whatever reason, just say, okay, I missed it. Not going to worry about it. I'm going to just drop that one. Okay, so having said that, quizzes you get 1 attempt at. It's timed. I don't remember exactly how long you have, 90 minutes or something like that. So just check that out before you start. As soon as you start, you have that amount of time. So don't start and then think you can come back later. So don't sit down and take the quiz until you've got 2 hours or whatever the time limit is. You got that block of time where you're not going to be interrupted and you can finish it. Because again, what happens if you get distracted and you don't get a good score on it? You're going to drop it, right? You're not going to send me an email and say, hey, I got distracted or something happened, this, that, or the other. I don't want to hear about that.
Are the quizzes set up so that they're easily doable within that time limit?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I haven't had a lot of complaints about that in the past, so I think that is the case.
So the homeworks are also on Connect. And
Homeworks and quizzes are on Connect, yeah.
homeworks won't be repeat reply, but Learn Smart would be.
I'm sorry, say again.
So Learn Smart would just be stuff within the textbook, like I've seen with Connect.
Yeah.
But the homeworks are actual problems which we have to solve. Like
Yeah.
you said. And will I be able to reply to the homework problems again and again?
You can do the homework problems as many times as you want.
Okay, but not the quiz problems.
The quiz problems, no. But the homeworks, again, are designed to help you with the quizzes. Some of the quiz questions are directly from the homework. So you've seen them before, some of them, in some cases, not always. So keep that, I guess, in mind. The first homework and quiz are very easy, I think. They're designed more to get you on there and get you using the system. But having said that, do them sooner rather than later. If you put it off, Thursday is going to come quick, even though it seems like it's a long ways away. And then Friday, the next day, you got the quiz too. So at least with the homeworks, I recommend starting them, trying them out this week. And the reason I give you till next Thursday to do the quiz or the homework is so that next Tuesday when we meet, you can ask questions about it. You still have a couple of days after having asked questions to do it. You need to. Okay, so the grading scale, homework is 20%, quizzes are 20%. The midterm exam is either 25% or 0%, and the final is either 35% or 60%. And so you see that there's two different grade calculations there, and I will calculate both of those for everybody, and whichever one's higher, that will be used to calculate the final grade. So you might be looking at this saying, why would Dr. Lichty do this? And the answer is fairly simple, and that is that this is a hard class. That's the reason. So does anybody here not know how to ride a bicycle and not embarrassed enough to raise their hand? Okay, everybody can ride a bicycle. I want you to think back to when you learned how to ride a bicycle. It was a long time ago, probably. When you first started, did you think, oh, this is going to be easy? I mean, you probably saw other people doing it, and it looked easy, so you said, yeah, this is going to be easy. And then you got on the bike, and was it easy?
No.
It was not easy, was it? Did you get hurt?
Yes.
Did you fall over? Did you run into things? Did people make fun of you because you couldn't do it? Yeah, all that stuff happened, and it's painful. But then what happened a few weeks later? You ride a bike, and then it was easy, right? Okay, you can still do it, and it's easy. Once you learn how to do it, it's easy. So how long does it take you to learn how to do it? How much pain do you have to go through? Well, it's different for everybody. I think you can do it in 10 weeks, metaphorically speaking. And so I'm going to say, if you do good on the midterm exam, that's good. That means you've been making good progress in understanding stuff. But if you do bad on the midterm exam, I'm going to give you a few more weeks to still get it. Because once you get it, you get it. So that's the reason that the midterm exam weight will go to 0 if you basically do better on the final than on the midterm. Okay? And yeah, it's going to be bumpy. There might be some pain involved. In fact, probably there's going to be. But if you keep at it, work hard, come to office hours, get into groups. I really recommend you find people in the class that you're sitting next to. Maybe you know people, maybe you don't know people. But get to know people. Because the more you talk about this stuff with everybody else, other people, and you explain it, and they explain it to you, the better you're going to understand it. Now, it turns out it's really easy to learn how to ride a bike now. They have these gyroscope wheels they put on the front of the bike, and when they turn them on, there's a gyroscope inside, a big heavy weight that spins around like a flywheel. And so the bike can almost just stand there all on its own. It has to be moving just like very slow. So you put a kid on it, and you give them a push, and the gyroscope keeps the bike up and down, and then 5 minutes later, you turn down the speed of the gyroscope, and then 5 minutes later, you turn it down again. 20 minutes later, the kid can ride a bike. It's like not fair. But that's kind of like, I don't know. Is Learn Smart the gyroscope wheel? I don't know. I'll let you guys decide about that. But anyway, expect some bumps and bruises. Expect some ups and downs. But stick with it, and you'll be okay. All right, you see the grading scale, 90 to 94 and so forth. There may be a curve. In other words, I might change these things here based on my experience as a professor, and we'll see how that goes. Probably it will happen, my guess, but the curve will be applied to the final grade, not to midterm or whatever. You can look at these things and say that's how the grade breaks down for the midterm and the final exam and the homework and that sort of thing. And it all apply. I mean, don't ask me, is there a curve on the midterm? I'll say Yeah, of course there is, because there's going to probably be a curve here. So, let's see. I think that's everything I wanted to say about the syllabus, other than I found another typo. Errant P. So look at these other policies if you have questions about technical problems or disabilities or whatever. Okay, so I didn't really tell you that much about myself, did I? Well, let me do that now. I did my undergraduate degree in mathematics at Brigham Young University, and I graduated in 1998, and I went to Duke University for my PhD in statistics, and I graduated there in 2003, and then I came to Drexel, and I've been here ever since, and this is, I think this is my 15th year at Drexel, and it's a great place. I like it here, and I hope it's a good experience for you guys being here as well. Let's see. So what do I do? I do Bayesian statistics. So we won't really talk too much about that in this class, but I guess we'll mention when we talk about Bayes' theorem and probability, but it's kind of a whole different school of thought when it comes to statistical thinking. So I do stuff with higher moment estimation, covariance, skewness. Let's see, what other boring stuff? I've gotten into some marketing stuff recently, and cross price elasticities, and but mostly I just like to play, like whitewater kayaking, mountain biking, road biking, racquetball, basketball, rock climbing, tree climbing, cutting down trees, cutting up trees, splitting trees, chainsaws.
Can you juggle a chainsaw?
I've never tried juggling chainsaws, but I do have 3 chainsaws, so I could try it. I'm not going to, though, because one of them's really big. So I heat my house with wood. So I cut up. I spent all summer. I got this really cool axe for splitting wood. Some people like to use a splitter. I don't like the splitter. I like the axe. Although I've not chopped down a tree with an axe. I should probably try that at some point. Anyway, so that's a little bit about me. And did I say skiing? How can I forget skiing? That's my favorite of everything. So that's me. And I want to know a little bit about you guys. So you should plan on bringing some sort of device to class, a phone, a computer, something like that, and then you can answer these questions that I'm going to ask. So what's your name, first of all? And as you're putting this in, we're watching all the responses show up here. I want you to think about what I'm asking you here. Is this a variable that I'm asking you about? Yeah, sure, it's a variable. Why is it a variable? Because it's a characteristic of an individual. You guys are individuals. And it's not the same for everybody. Although it might be the same for some of you. We have any? Okay, so John, we have 2 Johns so far. So what type of variable is this? If you had to give it a name or describe this describe this variable. And you might want to think about this in terms of whether this is a random variable as well. We haven't talked about that yet. We will a little bit later. But what does it mean to have something that's random? So what kind of variable do we have here? Ferdinand, raise your hand. Is that really your name?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, what do you go by?
Bird.
Ferd? Okay, I won't embarrass anybody else by having you raise your hands, at least not yet. Except for Kat. Kat, have you heard? Oh, never mind. Okay, I won't go into that. So, what kind of variable do we have? What types of variables are there? We've got ones with numbers; those are called qualitative. The ones with not numbers, and those are called, sorry, the ones with numbers are called quantitative. The ones with not numbers are qualitative. So this is a qualitative variable that I'm asking you guys. Changes by everybody, or possibly can. What else could we say about it? If we have qualitative variables, what type of qualitative variables are there? We have nominal, ordinal. I guess those are the two qualitative types. So is this nominal or is this ordinal? What's the difference? Ordinal suggests that there's some sort of order. Okay, so nominal means what when you say nominal, why would you say nominal? I'm sorry. Okay. So nominal means there's no ordering to these things. And so, is there an ordering here? Well, we could put it in alphabetical order if we wanted. But that's arbitrary, isn't it? What kind of ordering is the best to use? I don't know. So I would probably agree with you. This is nominal. But if you wanted to get technical about it, I guess you could say it's ordinal if you wanted. And here's the ordering, and say most people agree with alphabetical ordering being the best way to organize this type of data. Okay, so we have raw data. We can actually look at this. Actually, I'm going to ask you another question now. I told you about all my hobbies. And actually, I have more than that, too, that I didn't tell you about. Okay, so again, what type of crypto trading? What's Bitcoin worth today? 15 what? 14.9. Trumpet. Ooh, I like. Oh, I play the trombone too. Did I tell you that? I didn't tell you that, did I? Hula hooping, camping, napping, Netflix. Reading. Okay, so again, this is another qualitative variable, and yeah, I probably would call this one nominal. Yeah. We got everybody. Kayaking. What kind of kayaking? Who said that?
Mainly river.
Like whitewater? Is that you?
Yeah, I've done a decent amount of whitewater, but mainly along the Delaware. For days.
You done like the Yaak, Lower Yaak?
Mm-hmm.
Have you done the Yaak?
No.
No.
Usually in the gorge. They do also.
Lehigh?
Yeah, Lehigh Gorge.
You can roll and all that?
Release.
Yeah, I do that all the time. Yeah, Tahiti, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what kind of boat do you have?
Dagger grain boat. The big whitewater.
Nice. Fixed gear bikes, rock climbing. I went rock climbing last night, so I do that one too. Oh, I already said that one. All right, gaming. What else have we got here? Okay, so this is what you call raw data coming in here. If we want to be able to extract information from data, what do we have to do? I can look at this and I can get a good idea. Ball is life, chilling, backpacking, basketball, lots of basketball. Is it easy to get a good idea of what's going on with the data just by looking at the raw data? No, it's not. I mean, you see kind of bits and pieces here and there. I mean, this is like recycling stuff. So sleeping, I don't know, is that the same one I saw before? Climbing. So if I look at the actual data and the response history, I can organize it by putting it in alphabetical order, right? Or sorting it. And if these were numbers, then I could look at the minimum and the maximum and get a good idea of the range. But this way I can go through and I see a couple people scuba dive. I do that. In fact, I lost my phone at the Lehigh River Gorge in the summer. I didn't lose it. Somebody else borrowed it, and they're like, hey, let me take a picture of you. I'll have to show you the video. I was jumping off this cliff in my kayak. It was awesome. During the break, I'll find it. I'll show you. Anyway, so he drops my phone, right, in the lake, in the river, and it sinks. It's like 8 feet deep, and it's in a dry bag. Like, oh, man. So we look around. We can't find it for like 45 minutes. I said, I'll just come back on Monday with a scuba tank. So I brought a scuba tank back. And before I even put the tank on, I had snorkel fins, mask. I went over and I dove down once just to see how deep it was. I came up, I dove down again, and I found my phone sitting right there. So I come up and I'm like, yeah, I found it. My wife says, I told you we didn't need that scuba gear. But anyway, we had the scuba gear. So I went scuba diving. I found a GoPro, a $300 Invicta watch, $250 sunglasses, 4 knives.
A lot of people
Just
rafts up there and lose it in the raft.
yeah, it was awesome. So I'm gonna take scuba diving's fun. Sleeping, yeah, okay. So we look at this and we can say which of these is the most frequent. Looks like we've got 4 musics. How many climbings did we have? Cutting trees. Yep, that's fun. I thought there were more than just one climbing. No, there's a rock climbing somewhere too, isn't there? Yeah. Okay. So you can look at these things and you can count how many there are in each of the categories. And this is a very broad number of categories, of course, and we'll ask another question here in a minute that is not quite that way. But you can get a better idea by looking at graphical output. And so let's look at another question. Let's see. So I need to ask this question. Normally I wouldn't belabor this, but I need to know what your majors are so I can have an idea of the makeup of the class. So what's your major? And for this one, we could more easily make a like a bar chart, right? Is that not going? Nobody's responding yet. Okay, there we go. Marketing. So this one might be easier to have outcomes that are easier to summarize because you can only major in so many different things. But hobbies are kind of unlimited. You can have tons of hobbies. Is that chemical engineering, CE? Computer engineering or chemical? Computer? You never can tell anymore. What's what? Finance, econ, supply chain. All right, sports management. So let's look at this one again over here. And we only have 44 responses. I'm not sure if that's the same as what we had last time, but you can see that computer engineering, computer science, so a lot of stuff with computers. There's 4 people there. How many finance? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it looks like 5. And then international business. There's a few of those. Marketing. Someone majored in math. And okay, so you can get a good idea by just by sorting, as long as the data set's not too big, what's going on. And that's a big part of this. We collect the data. We got the raw data. First thing you want to do is sort it, and then you want to organize it further. So this next question will actually kind of organize things for us automatically. So here I'm saying you only have 5 different options, and so we can see that as you guys are entering the data, we get the computer is doing the heavy lifting for us. It's sorting, organizing, and then displaying in graphical form the information that's contained here. And so we can very quickly look at this and say, oh, 36% are sophomores, 7% are seniors, 6% are freshmen. And this turns out to be a statistic. And what's this statistic called? It has a special name. Anybody know? It's called a bar chart. Yeah. So charts and tables and graphs are also statistics. And we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later on. But based on this, I could now take the information that I have and I can make decisions on it, based on it. All right, there's information in the data. Is all of the information about the population in this data? No, there's lots and lots of information. But if I'm just worried about who I'm going to market graduation caps to, or paraphernalia for graduation, who am I going to be more concerned about? Seniors or freshmen? Seniors. And I see there's only 8% seniors in this class, so maybe I, whatever my business decision is that is based on the proportion of seniors, I'm going to apply that here. So I've gotten some of the information about the population, and do I have all of the information? Certainly not, because there's lots more variables out there. And so big part of what we're doing in this class is we're going to collect data, organize data, summarize the data, and then make decisions based on that information. So we're extracting information, and there's always going to be, not always, we hope there's always going to be some sort of information in the data that we collect. Sometimes there's not, but most of the time there is. But there's also going to be some uncertainty in the data. In other words, this is pretty certain, as long as you guys didn't make a mistake when you inputted your data. But if we're talking about this class, then we have a descriptive summary. But if we wanted to use this to make statements about Drexel students as a whole, as a population that are taking the STAT course, then this is just a sample. And if we go and take another sample from the class next door that's also a STAT course with the same number of people, we're going to get a different sample or different set of data. So the differences that you see can be attributed to randomness or uncertainty. And that's something that we want to understand, but that's something that we never want to try and predict. Okay, so you'll learn more about that as we go on as well. Okay, so I got one more question for you, then we're going to take a break. And so as soon as you answer this question, you can leave and then come back at 5 minutes after the hour. Oh no, sorry, 2 more questions. Actually, I'm going to skip this. No, I'm not going to skip that one. This one's important. I'll just tell you right now, the answer to this question is 0. So I don't care if you're going to lose your scholarship. I don't care if you're going to be disinherited. I mean, I do care about all that stuff, but it has no impact on your grade. So don't come and tell me that your parents are going to disown you because you don't get an A in this class. If you need an A in this class to keep your parents happy, keep the scholarship people happy, to keep anybody happy, you start working right now, and you work hard, and you earn the A. I'm not going to give you any sympathy points. Yes, put 0 in there. Not that I don't have sympathy for you. I do. I have a great deal of it for you. And empathy. But I'm not going to give you points for it. So whoever said that, I don't know. You just don't know how to listen, I guess. Whoever put that in, change it to 0. Resubmit. All right. So here's the last question I'm going to ask you today. And you can answer this and then take a break. So if you don't know about the Google guy, a few years ago, Hal Varian, who's the chief, or was at least at the time, chief statistical officer or something like that at Google, said, you just wait and see. In the near future, statistics is going to be the sexy job. Everyone's going to want to know about and do and use statistics. All right, so we'll start back up at 5 minutes after. Okay, we're back. I've got a question for you guys. So why did 61% of you say you were forced to take this class? And don't answer yet. The answer to that question might be the same as when I ask those who said, I really want to learn about numbers. I ask you, why do you want to learn about numbers? And also, for the last part, why did the Google guy say that statistics is the sexy job of the future? So why? This is a very important tool that you want to start using in your life if you haven't already, and that is asking why and going down to the next level and then asking why and asking why and why and why until you find the real reason. So why are you being forced to take this class?
Required for graduation.
It's required for graduation, okay? Why is it required for graduation? And I'm not just asking you, anybody, yeah.
Because it's a backbone for a lot of finance and other classes.
Okay, so it's a prerequisite for finance, marketing, whatever else. So why is that important? No one knows why that's important? Okay, well, let's see. If you can do your finance stuff and your marketing stuff and your accounting stuff, then you can graduate because you can pass those classes. Okay, so why is that important?
Because like statistics is a math that you use to analyze numbers and data and stuff like that. And a lot of the different majors that we have, like marketing, for example, people who are in any marketing fields, they're going to be looking at data and analyzing data about their consumers in order to make decisions to move forward. So
Okay.
it's a class that's very, at least all business majors should have underlying
Okay.
knowledge.
Right, so I like what you said. If you want to be able to do your marketing stuff or finance or whatever else it is, you got to know the tools, right? Well, why do you need to do the marketing stuff? So you can get a job? Why do you need a job? So you can make money. Why do you need money? So you can put food in your mouth and a roof over your head and make your boat payment. So basically what we're saying is you're taking this class so you can have a boat. And if you have a pony in a boat, then who is that? Lyle Lovett sings that song. Okay, so anymore, at least Drexel University, the College of Business, thinks that you can't really function in life without this class, without the information that you're going to learn in this class, without the tools and the knowledge that goes with it. Okay, so I mean, you can keep asking why, and instead of doing that, I'm going to illustrate to you guys with some videos why all that's important, why it is that you've got to have numbers and understanding of math or the applied math statistics in order to eat anymore. Okay, so here's the first video. Okay, so what pray tell, does that have to do with this class or anything that we've talked about so far today? You've all seen the original, right? Star Wars Episode 4. They actually remade it and called it Episode 7. I don't know if you saw that one. And there's actually an updated version of how it should have ended too, for Episode 4 and for Episode 7. But what's going on in this video? In the real movie, they've got this Death Star and they blow up a planet with it, and they're like, "Look what this thing can do," and then they come up to the rebel base. It's on the far side of a planet, and they sit there for 30 minutes, and they say, "Okay, as soon as we get a clear shot, we'll take it." And in the meantime, the rebels have stolen their plans, and they've analyzed the data, and they know a secret that I guess the Empire doesn't know, and that is that a direct hit to the main reactor would take out the whole Death Star. And I guess Princess Leia didn't know that when she was captive on the Death Star. Otherwise, she could have maybe escaped and just used a blaster and taken it out and gotten revenge for her home planet right then and there. But that didn't happen. Instead, the Empire sits there and waits, and Luke Skywalker gets a lucky torpedo shot, blows up the whole thing. So, what do we take from this? First of all, they've got this tool. The ultimate power in the universe, I think, is how they describe it. So that's a metaphor for what? Hello, statistics, duh. You got these tools, right? And you're going to use them, but just because you have the tools, the knowledge of what you can do with them, doesn't mean that you are applying it correctly. So in this class, you're going to learn the tools, first of all, or at least, kind of introduction to the tools. And more importantly, though, you're going to learn how to use the tools, when to apply the tools, and how to use them most effectively. So the Empire had this tool, but they're like, oh, okay, we'll just let this planet block us. And in fact, it's even better well, no, I'll let you watch that on your own. But you should go and watch how all the episodes should have ended. They're really funny. Okay, so we got the tools. We're learning tools, and more importantly, we're learning how to think with the tools at our disposal, how to use the tools. That's the big deal. That's what we're doing in this class. Okay, what else are we going to get? Well, okay, so what do you guys think of that? What was the problem there? And what does that have to do with this class? Sorry, say it again.
Don't call yourself an expert.
Don't call yourself an expert?
It's meet people.
Okay. But we rely on experts, don't we?
It demonstrated what can happen if not everybody in the room doesn't have a general understanding of the task at hand. Like, they need to have some general knowledge. Like, in this case, nobody really knew what perpendicular meant, and so they were making these requests that were unreasonable and impossible.
Right. Okay. Exactly. So what are they missing? What's the disconnect? It's the language. Right? They weren't speaking the same language. The management, they did their market research. They knew about cute, cuddly kittens and birds, but they couldn't even talk to this guy, the expert. Now, the expert, I think he understood what was going on from the management side. What role do you see yourselves in? I mean, in the future, you graduate and go off and get your jobs. You're going to be the experts? You're going to be the management? Most of you will probably be management. Some of you, there's some math, computer science people that might be the experts. But you've got to be able to speak the same language. And the language that you need to speak is statistics. applied statistics, math. How are you going to make decisions? How are you going to hear what the experts are telling you and decide what to do? I mean, the experts, they give them a big computer, a fast computer, and put them in the back room with no light and breadcrumbs under the door. They're happy, and they'll just sit there and do whatever it is they do for hours and hours and hours. And then they come out and they say, okay, here's the result of this test, and here's the parameter, and here's the significance level, and so on and so forth. And if the management doesn't understand what they're saying, the management's not going to be in there doing it with them, but they've got to be able to communicate. And that language is statistics. And so that's a big part of what we're doing here. So I mentioned earlier, if you have friends in the class, you should get together and do statistics, do problems together. Have one person explain it to somebody else, and have that person explain it back to somebody else, to the group. The more you do that, the more you talk and use the language, the better off you're going to be. They used to say that the sign of intelligence was literacy, right? People that can read, they were considered intelligent, quote unquote. I don't know if you know this, but they've recently taught monkeys how to read. And so, we know they're not intelligent, not like humans. The sign of intelligence now is not whether you can read, but it's whether you're numerate. You can do numbers. You can do math. Okay, that's not really true what I just said, but about the monkeys being able to read. They can't really read, but that really is. You're going to impress your potential employers when you go to an interview. You're going to do it with numbers. You're going to be able to interpret what's going on and understand what's going on based on the mathematics. So you're going to get the tools. You're going to get the correct way to think about the situations and use the tools. You're going to get the language. Why do we need all that? That's the question, why again? And when I say you're going to get all that stuff, you're not really going to get it all. You're going to get the very, very scratch of the surface of that stuff. And you're going to build on it as you take all your other courses. Well, here's the reason that you need all that. And this video is not funny. So we're going to do this one right here. Okay, so how did that make you feel? Small? And how does that make you feel? What do you think about, I mean, this was 2016 data, but you said 16 zettabytes. What's a zettabyte? It's 10 to the 21. So 16 with 21 zeros behind it. That's the amount of unique bytes of information or data that were generated in 2016. Now, I don't know how they calculated that. I'm sure there's some sort of estimation going on there. But that's something that's been growing exponentially. So what does all that data mean? What does the data contain? It contains information. It contains information that you guys, the companies that you work for, want to understand, because you're going to base decisions on it. Why? Because you need to make stuff to sell to people, and you want to know what they want. In order to do that, you've got to extract the information. So 16 zettabytes is, if you had a terabyte hard drive. Anybody have a terabyte hard drive on their computer? That's kind of small now, right? Now they're getting like 3 and 5, and but you need 16 billion of those 1 terabyte hard drives to fill up with all that information. That's pretty big, and so because of the state of computers, the state of creativity and YouTube and all that stuff that's out there that people are using to make data available, you got to know how to extract the information, because part of that 16 zettabytes, probably a big part of it, is just garbage. Stuff that's totally irrelevant to you, just noise, randomness. Stuff that in the line of work you're in is going to have no relevance to what you're doing. So you need to be able to learn how to extract the information and understand the noise and estimate the noise. Okay, and how do we do that? We do that with statistics. With hypothesis testing, with confidence intervals, with probability, and that's what we're going to learn. So that's all I've got for today. Are there any questions you guys have for me in regards to the course? If not, then get on to Connect, get the first homework done as soon as you can, get ready for the second or the first quiz, and we will see you guys 1 week from today. Unless you want to come to my office hours, then you can come hang out.